Hi, this is Dennis Weese, Eagle Communications. Welcome to a special segment of Our Town today. We try to talk about things that are important to the community, and we're sitting in a place with a couple of guests to help us understand the vision for a new judicial justice center in our community. I'm not sure what you're calling it yet, but that's kind of what it is. We have the county administrator over in the green shirt, that's Brad Homman. We have the county sheriff here, Gareth Hoffman. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so what are we calling it, Brad?
It's the Dickinson County Justice Center is the name that's been given to it.
Okay, Dickinson County Justice Center. This idea has been going around the community for a lot longer time than this program's been going around the community. Was it 93 when the old jail was sort of kind of renovated, or 98, 99? Do you guys remember when the work was done upstairs?
There was some work done in 1993 to the courtrooms and the hallway upstairs. However, it wasn't until about 2006 is when the jail had some work done in the front portion.
So all of the viewers, both the city of Abilene and outlying areas, and this is on the internet, so people are watching it that are interested from anywhere they want to, know that this topic has come up, and we worked with the school district when we put a bond issue in front of the community, and I want to put those two things together because that's what this effort is. It's giving you folks a chance to explain to the voting public what this thing is for, how it will work, and let them decide whether it's a good idea. Gareth, I'm going to pick on you a minute. Okay. When I first interviewed you, when you were running for sheriff, the very first time, you said you had a core belief, and that is that the community deserves the law enforcement it wants. I thought that was profound then, and I think it's profound now. But so I want to borrow that, if I might. I think the community deserves the facilities that it wants as well. But in order for us to make that decision, we got to know some things. So tell us a little bit about your vision in this piece of the Dickinson County Justice Center.
Well, I think it all boils down to the big picture of, you know, for law enforcement, it's about safety, security, essentially, you know, the ability to keep people in that are supposed to be in, keep people out that are supposed to be out, and keep everyone safe, keep the inmates safe as well as the staff safe. All of those are, I believe, necessities and core functions of that facility.
Okay, so I saw a couple of your officers this morning out here in the hallway, and I said, how's business? And they said it's pretty steady. I don't think I've ever got a different answer from any of the Dickinson County Sheriff officers or the Abilene Police Department. Business is steady in law enforcement. Isn't it kind of always steady? It's
always steady, yeah. I've not seen it taper off yet. I mean, there's peaks and valleys, it rises and falls, but for the most part, it stays steady and consistent. Crime is not going down.
Okay, I say that to give us a segue into part of this is the jail. The jail is upstairs above us, and never worked in the jail because I refused. That was in Bennett's administration and yours, so I've worked both for you and Mr. Bennett, but I refused to work in the jail, and I have a reason for that. It's never a comforting place to be, either inside the bars, I presume, but certainly outside the bars. Not a place anybody would love to work, I don't think.
I would agree. It takes, I have a wonderful staff, but it definitely takes a special personality and, you know, a special kind of person to have the want and the drive to go up there every day and, you know, deal with what they deal with and try and maintain that facility at a high level. That's on the staff side. I've never been on the other side of the bars either, but I can only assume it's not a comfortable place for them either. But, you know, it is what it is. It's one of those things that obviously is needed, and I think will always be in place at some level.
Okay, so you have a statutory responsibility to provide law enforcement for the county, and part of that is corrections. Part of that is holding people that need held and making sure that people that are not supposed to be in there don't get in. There are some challenges with the facility upstairs. It's people on the inside know well that work there, but the people watching probably don't. So run us through some of what the facility is like and how is that deficient for modern law enforcement.
Well, what I'd refer to as the visual issues, would come down primarily to just it being out of date and a huge maintenance concern as far as things just functioning properly from a mechanical aspect. But probably equally as important, if not more important, are the issues that you may not just see visually by looking at the facility itself, but it's the manner in which the facility flows, the movability of inmates, how they come and go from the jail, how they're booked in and out of the jail, how they come and go, into the court system, visitation that occurs, in and out of that facility. And again, all those things tie back to, the overall safety for everyone that's involved in that, the inmate as well as the staff member. And the ability, or in our case, lack of the ability to separate or segregate the inmate population into specific categories where essentially they can be housed and or held with like inmates, if that makes sense, persons who are in there for like or equal type crimes, so that you don't have, felons staying with misdemeanants, and you don't have obviously females staying with males and some of the obvious things. But the segregation, separation, and classification of inmates has gotten much more complex than it was, 40, 50 years ago.
Okay, Gareth, we're going to take a short break, guys, and we'll be back in just a minute, and we'll talk about some of the other issues with the overall courthouse and the facility with Brad. I'm Dennis Weese. We'll be back in just 1 minute. We're back talking about the Dickinson County Justice Center. Right name?
Correct.
Okay. We talked with you, Sheriff. We talked a little about the jail, and I just want to tell the folks at home we only have 25 minutes, and we could spend 40 with just the jail. So we'll need to do more than one program to continue to get this out. But Brad, there's more involved in this building than just the jail. So explain to us some of those issues so people can understand what we're talking about.
You're right, Dennis. We typically call this the Dickinson County Courthouse, but there's a whole lot more goes on here than just court. As you mentioned, the jail facility, but also all county functions happen within this facility. We do have a lot of problems in the jail that Gareth has touched on. We also have a number of problems in the courthouse itself. The courthouse was built in the early 50s. It opened in 1956. You're doing your math, that makes it 60 years old. Very few of us probably own a house that's 60 years old that at some point we haven't had to put some maintenance money into or upgrade. And that's basically where we stand. Our heating and air, our plumbing, both water, sewer, electrical, we have ongoing, and I say daily, challenges. As we sit here today, our air conditioning is not functioning, as I'm sure
I saw the doors were open.
We have windows open and doors open. Fortunately, it's not real hot outside, but we have had a pump malfunction Tuesday that burned up, which is not inconsistent with any other problem any day of the week. Those are types of things. Things are just getting old. They're outdated. We're having a difficult time finding the parts as we do on all these things for this. Some of them have to be special made. we just have a lot of renovations that need to be done, including windows and things like that, that we would like to roll into this project because it just makes sense to do it all at once, as well as the issues that we have that Gareth has touched on in the jail. So.
Okay. When you called and asked if we could do a program about the Dickinson County Justice Center, I said sure, and you said, who do you want there? And I said, you too. I said that for a reason. I think two things. People will recognize your face because both of you have been in the community virtually your entire life.
Yep.
And the other thing I think is credibility. I think credibility of who you are, what you've done in Dickinson County over the years, lends weight to the issue. So I'm going to personalize some of my questions. That won't offend you, I'm sure. If it does, it doesn't really matter,
Take a lot more to offend me than that.
He'll hurt me later maybe, but not on camera. So, you talk about maintenance in a 60-year-old house. So, Brad, if this was your house, would you be proposing doing this upgrade to it?
If this was my house, I wouldn't have waited this long to upgrade it, Dennis, honestly. If my air conditioning was questionable, I would upgrade it. As a matter of fact, I have in my house, and it's 26 years old. I've upgraded it since it was new. The plumbing issues we have, things like that. One of the prominent things that any employee in the courthouse will tell you about very readily is the sewer smell issue. If you walked in here this morning and smelled something that smelled similar to sewer gas, that's probably what it is, because we have somewhere a sewer gas issue that's leaking, and we have found one pipe that was deteriorated and it completely rotted, a sewer line that we've replaced, but we can't seem to find where it's coming from now. So it's issues like that that we deal with on a daily basis that absolutely need to be dealt with.
One of the things that came up in some of the other discussions we've been involved in, and in the schools as well, is the deferred maintenance question. So, I'm going to repeat back what I've read and observed in the public, and so we can speak to it. I think correctly, people sometimes look at a bond issue and go, well, deferred maintenance, why didn't you fix it before? Not always possible, not always available, and guess who gets to decide whether you have a road or you fix the plumbing?
Yeah, I mean, why we didn't fix it before, we have fixed it. It's been an ongoing repair. It just has continued to escalate, and those repair issues have gotten more and more frequent.
Sure.
At that point. I mean, over the years, and I've been here for quite a while, you have little issues that come up, you deal with them, you repair them, you move on. And a lot of times it's a long-term repair. But those repairs, when they get to a certain point where they're monthly, they're weekly, they're daily, then the need arises real quick that you need to do something. So
isn't it a matter of scale about how much cost goes into a repair versus a longer-term fix that you can do appropriately?
Absolutely.
Isn't that a good
What's your
comparison?
return on that investment? If you're repairing something for the short term, it may be smarter to spend a little bit more and repair it for the long term, and we're kind of to that point. So.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a break after a little bit and change back to you, but I want to talk a little bit longer about the flow of people through the courthouse. You've talked about infrastructure. Well, moving a jail out of here gives a change for the community and what's in here. So tell the people what's going to stay here in your proposal versus what's going to move to a new building.
Well, in the proposal we have, what will move into the new facility is essentially anything justice related. That's going to include the sheriff's department, the jail. County attorney will be moved into that new facility, which currently they're in a second facility across the street. Court services, the district court, and community corrections would be in that new facility. And then the remainder of county services would remain in the current courthouse facility.
Okay, that's the clerk.
Clerk, treasurer, register of
deeds.
County commission, administration, emergency management, appraiser, all those other functions that are non-law enforcement or justice related.
I say that for a reason, I ask that question for a reason, because the vast majority of people that come here for those functions.
That's
We
correct.
certainly hope more people register their car than get thrown in jail, right, Gareth? So that's a hope,
Yeah,
right?
that's the hope.
Okay, so that's, when people are getting customer service here for their customer service dollars, there's a lot of enhancement to the workflow included in the new proposal for existing offices here. Is that a fair statement?
That is, and we're also, the intent is to roll that into making this facility a secure facility so that it is safe for the patrons, it's safe for the employees to come into, and that will include one entrance that everyone will have to come into that would be secured. There'd be metal detector like most government facilities are today, so that when you come into this facility, you know that you're protected and you're secured and you're not in danger.
Okay, we're going to take another short break, folks. We'll be back in just a bit.
910 KINA Coffee Talk. Of course, they've got all kinds of waste and fraud in Washington, D.C. There's so much of it, I can't even keep up with it.
Yeah, I think what we ought to go up there and take a magic marker and go through it line by line and get rid of
Magic marker, they're going to be a huge magic marker. My gosh, we gave out millions of dollars worth of bonuses to people at the Internal Revenue Service who don't pay their taxes themselves.
I'd like to be able to find a job where I could do that, and they're going after us.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't get any better.
Hi, we're back with our final segment, Dickinson County Justice Center. So many issues to talk about in so little time. It always goes this way, but we're going to try. I think of compliance. I think of an old facility, and I think of Eagle, and I think of the things we deal with, but compliance. You have to have huge compliance issues, not only with the courthouse, but with the jail and the entire flow of people here. Brad?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Dennis. We have to deal with compliance with both the ADA, the American Disabilities Act, and standards within the jail that basically regulate the way we operate in public facilities. Our current facility, again, built in the 50s, 60 years old, is not ADA compliant. By its own design, it could not be ADA compliant until we do some major changes. As with the jail, and I'll let Gareth hit on it in detail, but the jail does not fulfill the requirements of the federal government has set forth, and it can't by its design. It's just impossible to do that. So. Okay,
Gareth, as I put the same question to you, I'm going to twist it a little. So every time I deal with compliance at my business, I did it, you know. But there's another way of looking at it. I want good things for my employees, and I want better things for my customers. You're no different as a person because I know you. So, okay, your employees are deputies and jailers. Your customers, unfortunately, are prisoners and victims. Process today, I know, mixes those groups together in ways that you find unsatisfactory, I find unsatisfactory, but the public doesn't know. Can you explain some of that to us and what your desire to have a better situation in Dickinson County is?
Well, I break it down to kind of it sounds like maybe a simple statement, but I think at least some of the questions I've had are, you know, why don't we just fix what we got? You know, why don't we renovate what we got and forego, you know, the new facility, if you will. And the problem is, as you were talking about compliance, is, yeah, you can make the jail look better, you can make it smell better, but at the end of the day, that's all you've done. It will not meet the needs it needs to meet as we talk about compliance. I mean, there's a ton of compliance issues that I probably don't even personally have the ability to get into specifically because, quite frankly, there's some I don't know because we've never had that here. We've never had to deal with that here, but it's most certainly coming. The expectations are much greater than they are, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago, where you just put all the inmates in the back and you didn't check them. You slid them a tray of food, and, you know, that was the expectation, and that is not the expectation now. But out of compliance, you know, in regards to size, amount of lighting. I mean, there's so many rules and regulations that we're learning about as we've gone through this process that I wasn't even aware of. You know, the percentage of lighting that they get, how much time during the day they get the lighting, square footage, you know, per cell for each inmate, and it goes on and on and on. And without building this facility, in my opinion, we won't get there. I mean, the space isn't there to even come into those compliance standards.
Okay, that's clear to me. We may have to do more of these set downs, and you're going to send us some pictures of things that Brian can insert so people can see. 'Cause people think with their eyes, they have to see things. It's pretty hard to tour a jail. Well, you don't need 100 citizens running through that situation, I'm pretty sure. So, but they do know you. The people behind the lens, they know who you are, they know where you grew up, and they probably remember when you weren't the sheriff. A scary thought, yes?
I have some teachers that remind me of things that I would like to think everybody would have forgot by now, but
Won't happen. This is not small towns, they remember forever. But here's the deal. I think of mixing victims and criminals. By the way, the court flow, the traffic in the court, and the way you have to walk prisoners down the courtroom hall upstairs through the victims in to testify. It's never been secure. My point to make and have you speak to is it's simply a different world. It's not 50 years ago. The world we live in now makes that a very untenable situation, I would think.
yeah, most certainly. And again, we have a tendency to kind of, I think, focus on the jail because it is kind of it's probably somewhat the driving force. It's kind of the hub of the project, and I think we all understand that. But I think we have to remember it goes way beyond that. I mean, Brad mentioned, the entire courthouse itself, the sustainability and the functionality of it, and moving of inmates once they come out of the jail. It's not at that point, once they're outside the jail, you may not necessarily call it a jail issue, but the manner in which they're taken down the hallway, and then the manner in which they're held in that courtroom. And I mean, so it just goes on and on and on outside of the jail. I mean, the sheriff's office itself, the overall size. And I'm sure you could ask anybody in this courthouse in any one of the departments, and they would say the same thing. Well, yeah, geez, a little more space would sure be nice. We have 5 desks on top of each other, but it goes on and on and on and on, but when you start to talk about the regulations and the safety issues and stuff like that, those are obviously the ones that I think rise to the top. And for me, it's always been kind of a pay now or pay later type of thought process for me personally. If we don't do something now, we're not paying now, but we are going to pay later. Whether that comes through a mandate from the court saying, now you've got this lawsuit and you're going to pay this, and by the way, you're going to go back and fix what caused the lawsuit, and we're going to pay again. So, I think it's just time to really, take a serious look at this and get something going.
Okay, we're technically out of time because Brian waved the finger, so you got to make your answer quick. I know you're going to do some public outreach in places other than a camera. So get us pointed at a place. People can go find the list of places where the road show is going to be. Brad?
Well, as of today, we have a number of public presentations scheduled at civic groups, and we would do as many of those as we can. So if you have a civic group or a sewing club or knitting club, or you'd like for us to come out for a few of you, get a hold of my office here in Abilene, 263-3120. Be glad to come out and schedule a public meeting and presentation. We also have a couple scheduled. One is next week, which this may not air by then, but in the basement here in the courthouse. And we'll be having some future ones, so watch our website for that. So,
okay, give the website address.
The website is www.dkcoks.org. Again,
Okay.
dkcoks.org.
All right, we'll try to put that graphic up. I've known the sheriff to appear at a local co-op for a question and answer session over coffee. That's about as dangerous an interaction as one can have.
It can get a little volatile.
So I know you guys are willing to go try. So folks, as you see this program, I know it will raise questions in your mind about your tax dollars and this outcome. So reach out to the county. Make sure you get in touch with the office over at Brad Homman, the county administrator, or the county sheriff, Gareth Hoffman, and they'll be happy to talk to you and answer your questions. For Eagle Communications, I'm Dennis Weese, wishing you a great day.